Number one team in the world. Number one team in the world.
Give up a hand for these doctors to share with every one of us. And our goal for this panel is to raise all of our belief level on the X39. Not like we don't have enough belief on the X39, but we want to hear more, don't we? I mean, and these guys are willing to share, and I just love the fact that they're volunteering. They're all experts in their field, and they're incredible. So we're excited to be sharing with every one of you tonight what this X39 technology, this wearable device is doing for people and why. So we're going to start with Dr. David Jayne, who's an MD. Welcome this evening, Dr. David Jayne.
Thanks, Steve.
Right?
It's a pleasure being here.
Where are you from, by the way?
Edmond, Oklahoma.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your practice, Dr. Jayne?
I've been practicing over 30 years. I've been trained in family practice, but I do a lot of out-of-the-box things, acupuncture, hormone therapy, etc., aesthetic procedures. I have more of an open mind than most of my compatriots. Probably doesn't apply to anyone up here.
I'm sure it does.
So my practice is eclectic.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit if you were skeptical. We want to hear if you were skeptical when you heard about this technology.
Well, when I had a patient walk in and hand me a sleeve of patches and said, you have to use these and you have to use them in your patients. And it's a patient I've taken care of for a very long time. So I thought, well, what is it first? So I looked at the information, and I'm sorry, but that little tiny patch, I don't know what percentage of my body surface area it is, but it's 0.000 some percent. And I read, well, it reflects the infrared energy we emit back into us, and then it has your body do these things. And I thought, well, there's no way it could hurt me. That energy was just in my body a few seconds ago or a few nanoseconds ago, and it's going back in, and you just handed me a month's worth of patches. Why not? Right? And I do acupuncture, which this is really based off of. All those points on your body are very powerful. And the Chinese have used needles and heat and several different ways to stimulate them. This is just another way. But I didn't understand until I got into it how it all works. But I can tell you one thing, it works.
Wow. All right. We got Dr. Jen O'Sullivan here, a naturopath. And I'm going to ask her, what would you say to someone who claims X39 has just got a placebo effect? As a doctor.
Yeah.
We want to hear that from a doctor.
It's an interesting thing because a lot of doctors say that. Oh, it's just placebo. It's all in your head. Well, we've got a 96% effective rate, and I've found in my own clientele that when I have somebody that's not seeing results, it's because they're doing it wrong, you know? They're not hydrating. We just work with them, and then they see results. And there's nothing on the planet like this. Nothing. Nobody has anything like this. And so when we get that patch on them, it works, right? And this is it, literally. It's the thing that has completely reshaped my entire practice.
Now, through lab work, you do lab work at your practice, okay? Tell us through lab work what you've seen results with the X39.
It's varied. I mean, everyone is different, and it's exciting. Because when we start to see people have things happen that other doctors will say, it's impossible. I've actually had some of my clients say that their different doctor that they went to see would say, we messed up on the labs before. Well, labs don't lie. So if the labs before were bad and the labs now are good and all they changed was a patch, then of course it's working.
Wow. Thank you. Again, this is incredible. We're hearing from doctors telling all of us what they are seeing. So we got Dr. Larry Priesant. Where are you from again, Dr. Priesant?
I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Thanks for being here. Scottsdale, Arizona, all right? So, Dr. Priesant, tell us how many years you've been in practice, and were you skeptical when you first heard of this technology?
Well, I've been in practice for over 40 years, and I was very skeptical when I first heard about it.
okay, and what changed, what was kind of over a weekend. Basically, Dr. Priestman and I have been friends for about 28 years. He's a vascular surgeon. Dean has been a flight attendant. He's been going to him for her veins for years since she was in her 20s. So we have a relationship with Dr. Priestman and his wife Leslie, which is a very important thing that starts the process to get to sponsor a doctor. Usually you have to have a friendship most of the time, or a cousin or a brother or some relative, but that's very important. But even though we were friends, he was still skeptical. Tell us what happened and what changed your mind.
Well, I was so skeptical, I just said absolutely no right off the bat. And because of our long history with Steve and Gina and the amount of trust we had in them as people, I decided to do some research. So I delved into tons of research, and I would email copies of the articles to Steve, and Steve replied back, "Thanks very much, but all these articles are on the website. You could have gone just there." But I've been using light-based therapy in my practice, doing some aesthetic and anti-inflammatory procedures for almost 20 years. And so I knew all about the effectiveness of near-infrared light. I knew about the therapeutic window, and I knew how good it was to help the body heal itself. What I couldn't wrap my head around was how you could shrink it into a little patch. So I said, I'll try it for a month. And after 2 weeks, I decided we're all in.
2 weeks. So, wasn't no perfect call. He was skeptical. So when people say they're skeptical, we're hearing that across the board of doctors saying they're skeptical. It's just a matter of teaching what we talked as far as revisit and follow up with the doctors, just like you do with any prospect. You follow up, and sooner or later, they're going to see what you see. It's just a matter of time as they go through the process of doing their research. So we've got Dr. Tony Smith. All right, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great, thank you.
He just flew in here from California, I know that, so it's exciting to have him on the panel. Tell us a little bit about your practice and what kind of attracted you after you did some research. Were you skeptical? What kind of got your attention of the X39?
Well, I'm actually in a multidiscipline facility with the orthopedic surgeons, podiatry, pain management, general physicians, and I do chiropractic, sports rehab. So in regards to light therapy, I've been using it for almost 20 years now in different forms of light therapy. So I was familiar with it, but then to see it actually being implemented through a patch, you know, to harnessing our light energy to activate regenerative systems in our body, that's powerful. It's one of the most powerful breakthroughs I've ever seen in health and wellness or regenerative medicine. And so I think it's something that everybody could utilize and everybody could benefit from. And so what I love about the X39 is that it works throughout the body. It's not one specific organ, one specific region, one specific joint or anything. It's systemic. And that's the thing, is when you place it on somebody, you never know what it's going to touch. I put it on people for their low back, and they end up having blood pressure lower, cholesterol lower, you know, liver function improved. So many different systems are activated in regenerative properties and things going on, and so it's powerful. And I think everybody in this room, everybody across the country should utilize this. There's nobody should, because I don't know if I can say this, stem cells are life, right? If we don't have stem cells, active stem cells, we don't have life. And so this patch gives life. I truly believe it gives life.
So this is why we are seeing, tell me if I'm right, we're seeing so many different testimonies, because everyone has a different ailment and a different organ. I mean, if stem cells make up every organ in the body, am I right?
There's not a structure, blood cell, anything that didn't start from a stem cell. So when those start to diminish and decline, life diminishes, declines. So everything starts at a stem cell, and when you can activate those systems again, or regenerative, life happens. You know, you bring health and wellness comes back into vision. So.
All right, thank you so much. See, we're learning. It's incredible. Now, Nan, I'm going to ask you a question. Were you skeptical when you first heard about the X39? And tell us how, I actually was at a meeting just recently, and your patients were there. Were they the ones that kind of convinced you? Because their testimonies are incredible. Tell us a little bit.
Was I skeptical? Oh my gosh. So one of my friends at work said, "Hey, have you heard about this thing?" And I said, "No, I haven't." She's like, "Let me send you some information." I said, "Okay." So we started a conversation. I said, "Send me more information. Send me more information." She kept sending me videos, she kept sending me articles, sent me to the This Is It website, and I just dug in deep. I'm that, show me all the evidence, I want this evidence-based, this has gotta work. So doing the research, seeing patients still, a couple of my patients came in and they're like, you know, I started doing this patch thing, and I've noticed this, and I've noticed that, and I'm like, okay. Still researching, still learning. She wouldn't let me go. So another one of my patients came in, and we had been working pretty intensely with several different scary types of disease processes, for lack of anything else to say about it. And she walked in and she sat down, and I was dumbfounded. I looked at her and literally leaned across my desk. I said, "What are you doing?" And she just smiled and she goes, "X39, baby." One of the cool things that we do in our office is called a Zytoscan. So it's kind of based on Chinese medicine. It reads frequencies through the body, and it could make it will tell you what's out of balance based on what the frequency it says, and then it makes recommendations for supplementation or further testing or whatever's needed to be done. And this one particular patient said, I just scanned with Dr. D a couple days ago, and he took me off of $500 a month worth of supplements. And the only thing she had changed was she added X39.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, Nan. Dr. Fitch, if you could pass the microphone to Dr. Fitch. He's an optometrist. Tell us how many years you've been in practice.
48.
48 years, so he should know something, all right? Tell us a little bit, because we're hearing numerous testimonies, including myself and my wife, many of my friends and relatives on their eyes. Why are we seeing these incredible testimonies on our eyes?
20% of the heart output goes through the eyes. So the amount of nutrition that's needed is huge. So this X39 helps to improve that.
Wow.
And then your number one thing you have is your vision. So light therapy, eye doctors have been using light therapy for over 100 years. So when my sponsor said, I have something for you that uses light therapy, I had worked using light therapy on her son who had a concussion. So it immediately, oh, this is cool. And it made full sense what David Schmidt has done. As soon as I saw what this was, it made full sense to me. Wow. Like, this has to work. Wow. And I have patients this one patient I want to tell you about, she's the wife of an itinerant Baptist pastor, and she has retinitis pigmentosa, and that's your peripheral vision is collapsing, and she's just tunnel vision. And it was getting to the point she couldn't recognize people, just this little window, and she was losing her peripheral. I put her at 4 months on the X39. She's now seeing faces more, and she's more able to see her iPad. We've given her a lot back. So that's fabulous. So the X39 is the ability for the retina to hold its future and regenerate, and it's fabulous.
Wow. I want to thank you, Dr. Fitch, for being open-minded, because if it wasn't for you to say yes, think about all these people you're talking about wouldn't have a better quality of life. That's what we're talking about, a better quality of life. And all the doctors that are up here, that they've been open, their heart was open to listen. That's incredible. Thank you, everybody. But thank you, Dr. Fitch, all right? Let's go to, how about Catherine, or Dr. Espana, right? Okay, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. She's an MD. She specializes in pediatric medicine. So tell us a little bit. I heard that you were skeptical. Your husband's an OBGYN. I heard he was skeptical. The whole family was skeptical. What happened and what turned your guys' thinking around?
Yeah, so I got a call from a friend from Puerto Rico, and she said, I don't know what this is, but something's going on in Puerto Rico, and people are wearing this patch thing, and I want you to look at it as a doctor and tell me if you think it's legit. So this was honestly probably like 8 months ago. And when I first barely looked at it, I was like, no, it's not legit. This is like voodoo medicine. So I was like, sorry, girl, but keep looking. So I ignored her. And then she called me in November, 2 months later, says, I joined the company. I go, what do you mean you joined the company? She goes, yeah, I joined the company because my mother-in-law is all messed up. She has 1,000 things wrong. If it works for her, then this is going to work. I said, okay, well, let me know. And she called me during Christmas break. I was actually in Canada on vacation, and she said, my mother-in-law came. She wants more patches. She's sleeping better. She has more energy. Her joints don't hurt. And I was like, okay, well, send me some of this. I'll try it. So she sent it to me. I started reading the This Is It page, started reading a little bit more about copper peptides. And I was one of those in 3 days. I noticed a difference. I was a ballerina before I was a doctor, and I have really bad just joint issues because of that. And within 3 days, my joints weren't hurting anymore. So I gave the rest of the patches to my mom to try. And she also has issues with her joints, and she started noticing things too. So then phototherapy to me, it's funny because as doctors, we're very skeptical. But I've been using phototherapy. I mean, I've been in practice for 18 years, and we use phototherapy in babies all the time. And I never even ask, because it's in a medical book. So I knew that you put these babies in this blue light, and by a miracle, they start getting rid of the jaundice, and they get better. But I never asked, honestly, why. Or how it works. I just sort of believed it because another doctor told me how to do it, and that's, A, B, and C, that's what you do. So after that, I started thinking, well, if it works for that, then it's got to work for all these things. And so when you read the science, I mean, it just makes sense. And I've been really new. I've only been doing this for 4.5 months, but the results I've seen around on all ages, kids, adults, and even, any age, are amazing. So this stuff it's legit.
Wow, thank you so much. Give her a hand for give us that. Okay. Dr. Tori Brooks, right next to me, specializes in sports medicine, a chiropractor. Tell us a little bit how you explain the X39 technology. Explain it to folks so that they can understand it. Tell us, a little bit more about it in a deeper sense.
Just the physiology of the way it works. I just explain it to how the sun hits your skin and it converts cholesterol into vitamin D.
Yeah.
Similar thing, and it's non-transferable patch. And
Wow.
It's able to reflect the wavelengths from the ingredients that are in it that are proprietary, and it goes back into your skin, and it will activate the GHK copper peptides.
Can you guys do that? Come on, they say that we read that slide. I mean, it's exactly what the doctor is saying, the same thing. So think about it, Dr. Espena is like doing it, she's doing it, she didn't even know she's doing it to the babies. Think about this. I'm glad that they're up here sounding very, smart, but they're also being real with us. They're just like us. They're learning and learning this technology. What about athletes? Can this benefit athletes?
Absolutely. When I got this, a buddy of mine of 47 years, he's the head of sports medicine at a D1 school in Houston. He has been using the patches. He sent them over to me and said, hey, I want you to do some protocols on some patients. And I was in the process of selling my practice. And so after the 25th year of practice, he gives it to me now. Anyway, so thanks. What do I do with this? So I applied it, and miracles were happening.
Wow.
And then even for myself, after 2 weeks of using the patch, my sleep apnea was gone.
Wow.
And my wife was like, hallelujah.
Wow.
And so were the neighbors. But it's been such a dream. I tell you. I was blessed with this device from my friend from the university in Houston with a device from the space program.
Yes.
I treated 2 NBA players with it several years ago, and within 3 weeks, they referred me to 13 teams. And then it went into the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, Olympics, the whole deal. I treated, probably 1,000.
Wow.
Crazy. And but it's a hard life, East Coast, West Coast, and the whole deal. And then after that, kids came, and I said, money or family? Changed my phone number, moved to Tucson where I played football,
Yeah.
and hid from them.
Yeah.
And anyway, grew my practice inside 4 walls.
Yeah.
And it became a cage to me. And so to have this opportunity for me, I'm living life, baby, changing lives. And if I had a choice, Steve, between my device that I had, it's from the space program.
Yeah.
If I had that or these patches, I'm taking the patches. That's how powerful this is.
Wow. Incredible. I got a good question for Dr. O'Sullivan, okay? We're hearing about other patches, companies that are touting that they got patches, competitors. This does come up, by the way. When someone starts having success, people start trying to duplicate or copycat. Gene and I experienced this in the past, but you got to educate people because 9 times out of 10, it's not the same thing at all. But the problem a lot of times with your newest brand partner or distributor, they can kind of be convinced. Maybe they're not here. Maybe they're not going to hear what Dr. O'Sullivan is going to tell us, but she's done her research. So let's listen to hear what she has seen from other patch companies that say they have something very similar, or even they say better than the X39. Tell us what you've done and you've seen in your research.
It's a great question because I get that question all the time. Well, I heard about this, I heard about that. We won't mention names, but I've done the research on them, and I mean I've used them because I'm that person that wants to guinea pig it. It's not the same. Not even close. But like, there's many companies, by the way, that claim they're beta blockers. Do you guys know what that is? They literally brain map block something in your brain to make it block, but the moment you take those off, theirs, all of the things come back. So the issue is, are we working with something that's going to be more permanent? Or are we working with something that you're just gonna have to keep using? We wanna keep using this, right? But at the end of the day, no one on the planet, like I said, has something like this. And it's not 9 times out of 10, it's 10 times out of 10. You're never gonna find anything like this. And they're coming out, and you're like, okay, let's look into the next one. And it's not the same. And I say, I've looked into it. And I'll tell you exactly how to tell people. You say, it doesn't heal, it blocks. It beta blocks.
Powerful. Thank you so much. Wow. Let's go back to Nan Wilson, who is a nurse practitioner. She has done a lot of research on collagen, and we've heard that the X39 can increase collagen. Tell us if it does, if that's true, and how important is collagen? You know, all of us hear about collagen, but how important is it? I will tell you one thing. It's a lot easier than trying to stir up the powder, okay? Just putting a patch on, if it is important. So tell us a little bit.
So what the X39 does is it stimulates the peptide GHK-Cu, which in turn stimulates collagen production. Collagen, when we're young, makes up 30% of the body's protein. Protein that's used to build muscles, to build bones. It helps with skin. It helps with hair growth, with nail growth. Collagen, y'all, is like the matrix that holds the body together. So as we age, it is natural and normal for collagen production to reduce because the peptide reduces. So that's why we start to see things like sagging skin, hair loss as we go through hormonal changes in life. You know, you get joint problems. You know, my husband is a perfect example. He's been in law enforcement for 38 years. And, you know, they carry around a lot of extra gear on a daily basis, 30 to 35 pounds. We started these patches Tuesday. We got his MRI results back on Wednesday. He's got bone on bone. He said, crap, I gotta have surgery. I was like, no, 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 no. I said, let's see what this does. So he said, okay, well, he was putting them here, and he did that for about a week, and then we heard somebody else talk, and they said, well, I just put it on the joint that hurts. I said, try it. He put it on his hip. He came home from work. I said, and? He said, probably about 70% better. So I was like, okay. I said, keep doing it. Less than 4 days, no lie. Pain was gone, 100%. I came home early from vacation to be here tonight. He's still on the beach. We've been able to walk on the beach 2 miles every morning because his hip doesn't hurt.
Wow. Thank you, Nan. I mean, Give it up for her leaving vacation to be here with you. All right? And again, another person, now a new friend, because we've met and we're having fun together, is that he's walking the beaches, a better quality of life. It's incredible. Dr. Jane, I got a big question for you. I know that you injected in your practice peptides, and tell us a little bit what happened with the FDA with peptides and how important this GHK copper peptide is in our bodies. Can you tell us a little bit, because this has been your specialty?
Yeah, so the first week of October last year, the FDA unilaterally declared 12 or 13 peptides that I'd been using for 8 years with great response, that they were unsafe. But they provided no studies, no adverse reactions, no hospitalizations, no death, no justification. They just did it because it was starting to erode on pharma's business. So fast forward to the middle of November when my patient came in and gave me my ultimatum. And by the way, I was very skeptical, but I knew it wasn't going to hurt me.
Yeah.
So I'm like her, I'm a guinea pig.
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. So I started using the patch in all the patients that couldn't get peptides anymore. And I'm seeing similar effects, but in a lot of cases, better. Because not every peptide had the same general effect. But this affects your stem cells, which fix everything. So go to the source. Rather than picking peptides that do individual improvements in enzymes or chemical processes, let's go to the top, fix the stem cells, you fix everything.
Wow. Thank you so much. Was that incredible? Hey, can we give it up to all these doctors?